Yes, welcome everyone. Today we have Nepa with us and CEO Erik Östberg. I will leave the floor to you.
Thank you. My name is Fredrik Östgren, just to correct there. Happy to be here. We've saved the best session to the last, I hope, and hope to keep you awake during this final session. I have my colleague, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is P.O. Westerlund. I'm Deputy CEO and CFO of Nepa. And I'll have the privilege of starting this presentation that will consist of 4 parts. First, I'll give you a brief introduction to our company, and then Fredrik will go through a client case showing what we actually provide value to our clients. Some words about the competitive landscape that we're facing, and to the end, some financials. Nepa is a data analysis and data analytics company. What we do is we help clients get new customers, keep the customers they have, and astonish the customers they have. In our world, this is about marketing optimization. We optimize our clients' marketing, we improve their customer experience, and we help them with their innovation. We do this via providing software and brilliant consultants in something we call consumer science platform. Consumer science is our way of saying that we combine behavioral data with attitudinal data. Behavioral data is the footprints we as consumers leave behind. Everything we buy, everything we surf online, or how we use our telephones for roaming, for instance. We combine that behavior with the attitudes. So why do we do it? What are we going to do next? By combining these 2 worlds, we can help our clients by saying that if you do this, we can put a financial value on it. So if you do this, you're going to sell this much more, or earn this much more money. So it becomes really, really tangible. We also have a software for distributing these insights. You're going to see an example of it shortly, to the people that can actually make those decisions happen. It can be all the way down in the organization, out to the fingertip, to the person that is responsible for the fruit and veg department in a grocery store, for instance. Nepa was born in 2006, and 10 years later, in April of 2016, we went to the stock market, Nasdaq First North. We've always been a growth company. We have grown rapidly. We have 6 times been awarded the Gazelle Award by Dagens Industri, financial newspaper, and we're really proud of that. Only 40 companies have ever achieved that. These are growth graphs on rolling 12 months average from inception. Now I see that ABG Sundal Collier has taken away some numbers here. Thank you for that. But this is inception 2016 to our last reported quarter, which is end of June of this year. We show both sales numbers and gross profit numbers because gross profit is really important for us. It's the most important revenue measurement we have, since at that time we've taken away all the data we buy on behalf of our consumers. You see the IPO, which was the end of April of last year. Important also is to say that more than 65% of our revenues, we already know how they're going to be at least 12 months, sometimes longer than that in advance, which provides a very nice security if you are the CFO of a company. Short about business model, this comes a bit early in the presentation, just to give you a hint on how our revenues are distributed. The case that Fredrik is going to show is about Coop, second largest grocery retail chain in Sweden. For them last year, we had approximately a invoicing of 11 million, divided into 1 million is the license fee. The license they pay in order to be able to use our system. That's an annual license fee. And then they pay depending on which of the applications they choose to do. We have several of those. Fredrik is going to show you some of those. And then we do business development. That is, for instance, taking all of the data we gather. We gather massive amounts of data and do meta-analysis. How can that improve a certain part of the organization, which is the most important business decision for our client at that time. When we roll out, and we are today present in all the Nordic capitals, as well as UK, India, and 4 places in the US. we see larger companies that the division is going to be somewhere more like this. Some 10% in the license fee, and the rest is the application. We have a saying at Nepa, we should be like an espresso business model. It should be inexpensive to buy an espresso machine, but if you like the coffee, you're going to use a lot of the pods. And it's from the pods we are making our money, and we have our scalability. We are proud to work with more than 350 companies in five continents, and you see a few of them here. I think it's an impossible brag slide, but more importantly, we can say that we are particularly strong in the consumer packaged goods industry, in retail, in media and entertainment, and in telecom sectors. We work a lot with the growing area of the subscription-based business model where we provide a lot of value. Over to you, Fredrik.
Thank you. Let me try to explain what we're doing for our clients with a case. This is from a grocery retail chain called Coop in Sweden. Just short background to this case. Driven by that consumers, as you know, are changing their behaviors more rapidly than ever. Coop has decided to, on top of their strategy set, that they want to become consumer-centric. They want to be able to react to the changing behaviors among consumers all across their organization. It's a huge step for a company like Coop with more than 700 stores across Sweden and thousands of people working and meeting clients every day. At Coop, they have a great asset. The Coop Midmera loyalty program consists of more than 3.4 million members today. And the main idea at Coop is to bring these customers closer to them and make them being a part of the development of Coop, how their brand is perceived, what type of products they should offer, what kind of customer experience they should have online, and how should they meet the clients and customers in the stores every day. By doing that, they're hoping, of course, to become more client-centric and customer-centric and grow the business and win the market. To do that, to really engage 3.4 million members into the development of Coop, you really need to be able to listen to your customers, and in a very structured way. Coop has been listening for years to their customers by doing a lot of surveys. They meet clients every day in the stores. They have an e-commerce store where they can rate and review products and comment on products. They have applications doing in-depth interviews and qualitative interviews. However, all these dialogues that they've been having with their customers have been stored in various places across the organization and hasn't really been accessible for the employees of Coop. So what we are doing at Nepa with the consumer science platform is that we tie all these dialogues into one database and make it accessible for the entire organization of Coop, enabling them to understand what customer wants in each and every single touch point. Going into the system itself, it contains of two parts. It's a backend system where we basically monitor these 3.4 million members, what they're buying. When they're swiping their card, we understand each product that they're buying. We also have the history of who these people are, where they live, and what kind of interests they are having, because the consumer science platform is connected to the Midmera Card Loyalty Club. Besides that, we can also track these members, what they're doing online by placing a cookie. So we know what kind of ads they get exposed to, and we also know what kind of products they're buying in the online store. During the last couple of years, we are extremely proud to being able to develop partnership with Google, Facebook, and Snapchat. We are actually the first company outside of the US having this in place, enabling us to also connect these people and understand how they're behaving on the social media part. So that's the backend, and that's the data we combine to provide insights to our clients, out to the frontline personnel on how they should act. We're working, as Pio mentioned, in 3 areas: customer experience, marketing optimization, and business development. And let's look into one of the apps that we call CX Optimize. Coop has been conducting customer service and customer experience service for more than 10 years. However, they did it on an annual basis per store or on a national level on an annual basis. They did understand how well they perform in their customer experience. The problem with that was, though, that it's very different. The different competitor set for each store differs on the catchment area where the store is located. So each Coop store has their local competition in their market. And given just understanding how well they perform and what they can do on a national level doesn't really make them smarter on a local basis. So what we are doing instead is that we are capturing people once they are in store. Once they're swiping their card, we can ask them directly. And we're distributing this reporting and tools down to the department, to store levels and department levels in each and every store, and calculate how they can do better to beat the local competition. We provide them with these kind of reports down to the store manager so they know how well they are performing within customer satisfaction in each department of it, and how well that is perceived that they're performing in relationship to the competition in this small local market that they work in. By also having access to the behavioral data and the point of sales data, we can also calculate the expected revenue increase if they do an improvement in a specific department. That creates, I would say, a sense of urgency among the person that receives this report to take actions. So instead of saying you should improve your fruits and vegetables department because that will increase the overall customer experience, we can say if you improve your customer experience in your fruits and vegetables department with 1 percentage point, you will actually earn this much more money on a monthly basis. And creating this kind of tables, prioritized tables of actions that they should do, really can enable them to get the entire working force to work in the same direction as the overall company wants, and that is to grow. So looking into the competitor landscape, obviously, there are a lot of competitors out there working with data. This is an industry that's growing extremely rapidly across the world. We define our competitors in 3 spaces. First of all, we have the traditional market research companies like TNS, Kantar Research, Nielsen, Millward Brown, that really struggles with transforming into a digital world. Right now, all of them are basically running with an acquisition strategy. We can see that there are some great companies, and there are hundreds of companies in this space that's focusing on the behavioral data, capturing the footprints of what we as consumers are doing every day. Like IBM, Palantir, Adobe, great companies. You also have companies like Qualtrics, Medallia, and Moment, and Vision Critical that has focused on the consumer voice, solely focused on capturing data on attitudes, on what we think about things. What we are good at, and that I believe we're leading and cutting edge in the world, is the combination of both. Because we know that combining what people do with why people are doing it, it creates such a strong case for our clients to act.
Some financials. We talked about growth, and the report we released on the 21st of August meant that the Q2 of this year was actually the 53rd consecutive quarter measured on an annual level that we managed to grow. And the report looked like this. Income sheet items. If we look at the first half year of this year, we had our gross profit growth, as I said, was the most important growth number for us, grew 16.3%. And what we also pay a lot of attention to is personnel costs, which increased at a slower rate. That was not the case in Q2, and I'll get back to that. Something about our market segments. We started up in Sweden, and Sweden has been profitable since inception. We were actually profitable as a group for the first 10 years before realizing that we wanted to give the company the opportunity to grow in 3 places. One was to take this product and make it really scalable. Invest in product development, system development, data science, machine learning capabilities. We did that. The second was invest in turning around our UK business, do a proper investment, which we did. 6 months later, we changed the entire management team and have had a fantastic journey. And third, we wanted to enter the US market. And if we look at these, we see that Sweden has been profitable before the start. Finland is our first successful international expansion. Really profitable and growing fast. UK has had a tremendous growth. First half of this year is 58% gross profit growth, and it's profitable since last year. It was a true breakthrough. And of course, US being the world's largest market, we are still young. We are proud to be able to release that we, in the first quarter of this year, signed both a global retailer and a travel and hospitality company. Unfortunately, not because of US secrecy, not being able to tell which. And what we're doing in the US is focus a lot on marketing. One really prioritized area is to get noticed by the large tech advisors. They're called Forrester and they're called Gartner. And in July of this year, we were acknowledged by Forrester as one of the companies that were great in creating customer value in the field of consumer experience. Really shortly about our balance sheet, it's not much to say. We take all our investments in computers and stuff immediately, so we have no tangible assets. The intangibles we have is, of course, our software. We have 36 million in cash, and we have 0 debt. And ownership, hopefully some of you will be one of the small dots up in the right corner of this after this presentation. You can say roughly that the 4 people that have been driving this company, Fredrik, myself, our chairman, and our chief product officer, we own 36% of the company. We have 4 institutions, Swedbank Robur, Humle Småbolag, Handelsbanken Fonder, and AMF Pension, that own a third of the company, and the rest of there is out in the market for you to grab. So please go ahead and do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A very inspiring presentation. Maybe it's better if you stand over at that side.
I can get some water too.
Sure. Can you explain a bit more about the revenue split? Because when I look at your P&L, I see a pretty large chunk of personnel costs. Is it more that you haven't reached economies of scale? Because you talk about subscription revenue over 60% in the Coop case, for example.
Yes. That is really important because that is something that we, of course, keep very, very much track on. And I promise to get back to that, so thanks for giving me that opportunity. What we did when we went to the market on the 26th of April of 2016 was say that we needed funding, external funding for the first time, in order to invest in 3 things. And all those things are personnel. The bulk of it for personnel for system development and product development. Second, UK, third, US. And that is what we have done. We're now in a situation where we think we have a fantastic team in our system product, data science department, our R&D departments in Sweden. These people are all located in Sweden. So we're in a good place there. However, we're still growing this year. If you look at the Q2, we had a 14.5% growth, I think, or 4%. And that is because of sales and marketing. So that is, of course, what we're now doing in order to scale up.
Looking at the Coop deal, for example, the subscription revenue, how long is the usual period for Coop, for example, or your regular customer to subscribe?
We define our subscriptions as at least 12 months. It varies among markets. In Europe, it's most common to sign agreements on 1 year at a time. Going into the US, it's more common with a 3-year agreement.
Okay, and also out of curiosity, why do you expect the scalability to become even bigger in a global company? because you showed that the consultancy part was less. So you said that the subscription was 70% in Coop, but 90% on a global company.
Yeah, if you look on a global company, you have many more touch points. It's a matter of scale. If you have Coop having 700 plus stores, if you look at a global company having very many more, and often also wanting more frequent data flows from us.
Okay. And also about the growth there, you mentioned that you are profitable in 3 out of 4 regions, and that you have a scalable business model, but do you have any margin targets or experience from your more mature markets that you can elaborate on?
Yeah, we have, as many companies, been a bit vague on that, but we're saying that we want our long-term EBIT versus gross profit margin to exceed 20%.
And can you tell us a bit more about where in the investment cycle you are in US as of now?
Still early. We're still in an early phase. We've been in the US for 2 years with some serious people on the ground. Really happy to have had the first two companies in the CX field now in Q1. We haven't really seen the financial effects of those yet, but looking promising. And of course, the Forrester mention in July of this year is still very young, but it's something that we're putting a lot of hope into, because it opens up doors.
And maybe not relevant for Sweden, but because you have been profitable since inception. But looking at UK, how long did it take there to become profitable?
18 months since we changed the management, which we did half a year after we did the IPO.
And if you connect that to the US expansion, do you expect it to take longer, obviously, because it's a bigger market?
Yes, we do. Because it's a bigger market, and it's also a fact that the agreements in the US are longer than they are in Europe. I mean, it's frustrating when you're trying to get in. It's really great when you're actually on the inside, because they are 3 years on average.
And obviously, big data is a hot sector. How have you seen the competitive landscape change during maybe the last year or the last couple of years?
Obviously, it's a super interesting sector and a lot of competition in it. I still think it's room for everybody to make money. What's interesting to see is that a couple of our competitors there's been interesting transactions happening, both with Qualtrics in, I think it was December last year, and Medallia making an IPO in the US just a couple of months ago.
And you show the slide here where you have some really strong players on analytics and some very strong players on the consumer part. Isn't there a risk that IBM, for example, realize this potential and acquire a strong player on the other end?
Of course. I mean, it's that's something that triggers us always to improve the things that we are doing. So far, I've heard that question for 13 years, and we've managed to stay ahead of the competition because we have, as Pio mentioned, a built-in DNA of innovation at Nepa. So that question was asked a couple of years ago with the existing offering we're having, and still we're improving our products and stay ahead of the competition so far. And I think we are in a good position to do so in the future as well.
The Qualtrics case that Fredrik mentioned was exactly what happened. SAP, the German giant, buying into the modern industry, buying Qualtrics, and then having to pay 20 times sales. So, of course, that is interesting to see how valuable these assets are for more traditional companies.
And lastly, what do you think will be the most important for Nepa to take this first mover advantage and transition it to also become a substantial player in a more mature market?
I think it's to continue the plan we're having of growing our business in UK and the US. That's key for us as a company. because those two markets are the biggest in the world. So succeeding in those is the top priority for us.
Okay. By that, I would like to thank you, Fredrik and PO, for today's presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.